Welcome to Sistas, Say It Louder, reclaiming power, pleasure, and protection in Black women's health. To help us begin today's conversation, please welcome Rashad Burgess, Vice President of Corporate Responsibility at Gilead Sciences.
Hello, Essence. Hello, Essence. How we doing? How we doing? Listen, I'm Rashad Burgess. I'm Vice President of Corporate Responsibility at Gilead Science, and I am so excited to be here with you on today. First, I want to thank the Global Black Economic Forum and Essence Festival for creating this space. We are so proud to be partnering with GBEF to bring this conversation. Listen, Essence has always been more than a festival. It is where our culture gathers. The truth is, it's a bit of our family reunion. It's where our voices carry and where the conversations that matter most can happen with honesty, joy, and power. And that is exactly why Gilead Sciences, we continue to show up here year after year after year, and we do so with intention. At Gilead, we believe you cannot advance health equity from a distance. You have to go where communities are, listen to lived experiences, invest where the need is greatest, and work alongside trusted partners to remove the barriers that are standing in the way of people and better health. And that matters because Black women today continue to face disproportionate impacts from HIV, triple-negative breast cancer, and so many other serious health conditions. Awareness, it's important, but awareness alone, it is not enough. Real progress means access. We got to bridge from awareness to access. It means trust. It means having the information, the support, having the confidence to make the decisions that are right for you. So today is about health, but it is also about power. The power to ask questions, the power to advocate for yourself, the power to protect your joy, protect your body, protect your future. To open our conversation, we want to share a story from Care for the Culture, Gilead's platform for elevating authentic voices and creating honest conversations about health and wellness. Because when we listen to communities, remove barriers, and move together, we do more than raise awareness, we multiply impact. Let's watch.
Well, hey, stranger. Welcome home.
Hey, Ma.
So, anyone new in the picture?
Here and there, nothing serious.
As long as you're good, I'm good.
Oh, I know that look. I'm gonna get to the real tea later.
Chill, auntie.
Listen, I'm glad you're out there doing your thing. We definitely should chop it up about HIV and PrEP.
PrEP is when you routinely take prescription medicine before you're exposed to HIV to help reduce your chance of getting it. And you know I'll roll with you to go talk to your healthcare provider and get tested when you're ready. It's about that time for my checkup, too. I got you. I'm here to help.
Family, I have an announcement. I'm getting seconds.
Come on, Dad, you're doing too much.
Check on your people. Check out PrEP. Talk to a healthcare provider and visit carefortheculture.com.
To guide today's conversation, please welcome Dr. Toyin Nwafor, Executive Director, U.S. HIV Medical Affairs at Gilead Sciences. A physician and health equity advocate, Dr. Nwafor is passionate about creating space for honest conversations supporting informed decision-making, and advancing community-centered approaches to health and well-being. Please welcome Dr. Toyin Nwafor.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's panel, Sistas, Say It Louder, Reclaiming Power, Pleasure, and Protection in Black Women's Health. Thank you, Rashad, for setting the stage for today's conversation. We're here today to have a real conversation, you know? The conversation we have with your friends, your sisters, your aunties, and sometimes that's a little difficult to have, especially when we're talking about our health, when we're asking questions about our pleasure, about protecting ourselves. But our health deserves to be spoken out loud, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk honestly about what it means when Black women choose ourselves and out loud, despite of whatever stigma or setbacks we may face. It's important that we explore stories that shape how we think about our health, about our well-being, and our community, and how we heal. And we'll spend time talking about reclaiming our health, and about so much more than survival. We're going to talk about protection, about joy, confidence, and living fully. So let's meet our panelists, because we have a fantastic, great group of panelists for you today. So starting off is Amaya Scott. Amaya is an actress, author, and advocate whose work has helped expand, yes, visibility and representation, yes, in Black trans women in media and culture. She's known for her honesty, confidence, and authenticity. And she continues to inspire around resilience, self-acceptance, and living out loud. Thank you. Next, we have Ladea Joyce. Ladea is an HIV advocate, speaker, and storyteller who is using transparency and lived experience to challenge HIV stigma while centering Black women. Through storytelling and unapologetic truth-telling, she empowers women to take ownership of their own health journeys with confidence. Ladea Joyce. All right, next we have Tamar Braxton. Tamar, come on, Tamar. Tamar is a Grammy-nominated singer, television personality, and advocate who uses her voice to spark honest conversations around HIV prevention and breast cancer awareness. She's a bold, beautiful force and a fierce champion for women's health. Tamar Braxton. And we have Dr. Carrie Bryant. Dr. Bryant is a nationally recognized faith leader, pastor, scholar, and author whose work bridges community, faith, wellness, and women's empowerment. She's known for boldly encouraging women to live out boldly, care for themselves, and live with purpose and conviction. So, welcome, Dr. Bryant. And here we have a panelist. So we're going to jump in, but before we jump in, I'd like you to do something with me before we get into our conversation. I want everyone here to do something with me together. This conversation is Sisters, Say It Louder, right? So much about what we're going to talk about today is about choosing ourselves out loud. So I'm going to ask a few questions, And if it resonates with you, I want you to respond out loud, right? So, how many of you have ever left a question unasked when it came to your health? If that's you, say, I've been there. All right. How many of you have ever put yourself last while taking care of everyone else? If it's you, say, I've done that. Oh, I see hands in the audience. How many of you have ever encouraged a friend, a sister, an aunt, a mother, someone, a partner to prioritize their health? If that's you, say, I have. Right? We all have. And how many of you have ever needed a reminder that your health matters too? If that's you, say, I needed that. That's right. Because every person in this room deserves to feel informed, empowered, and supported when it comes to their health. My health matters. So I would love for us to all say together, my health matters. A little louder. My health matters. All right, so now let's carry that same energy into this panel. So let's get started. All right. All right. So we just heard from the room, right, that the audience is telling us that this is something so many Black women experience. We know that people don't always prioritize themselves, and it can impact the kind of questions we ask when we seek health care. So, Amaya, I'm going to start with you. So much of your story has centered around visibility, resilience, transformation, and living authentically out loud. So what does it look like for trans women to fully prioritize their own health?
So I think as a trans person, to prioritize your health would be to have conversations like these, where we open up and we're able to break down stigmas and we're able to tackle the difficult topics that sometimes we stray away from. But I also think that being confident and moving through life with your head held high is the best thing to do. Because especially in this day and age, people will try to tell you who you are, so you have to confidently know.
So we got a jam session.
And ain't time for that, though.
Gotta roll with it. Gotta roll with it. All right, Amaya.
So I think as a trans person, to prioritize your health would be to be involved in these types of conversations. Sometimes we need to come together and we need to tackle the difficult topics to destigmatize them. And I also think that being confident and moving through life with your head held high, because in this day and age, people try to tell you who you are. So you have to know and be secure in that. And I think that your authenticity and visibility will assist in all of those things.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. And you know, you talked about living openly and with your authenticity. And what's important is that when people see that, when people see someone living out loud and authentic and living fully, it encourages someone else. It encourages people, it breaks the silence, and helps people prioritize themselves. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, you know, what we're hearing is that, you know, choosing yourself isn't always easy, and we don't always feel empowered to advocate for ourselves. We heard that from the audience, and that really has impact on our health as Black women, right? I don't know if everyone in this audience knows this, but Black women account for 50% or half of all the new HIV diagnoses among women in the United States, despite the fact that we only make up 13% of the population. So again, half of those new diagnoses in women are in Black women. So this impacts us. But there's still a lot of stigma. There's still a lot of issues when it comes to HIV. And then Black transgender women actually have the highest share of HIV diagnoses amongst transgender women. So that tells us that these conversations are really important for us to move closer and closer to end the epidemic. So with that, I'm going to move over to Ladea and ask you a question. I want to bring you into this conversation because you have challenged so many assumptions about HIV and intimacy and what it means to live fully and confidently. So I'm going to ask you, Ladea, what does reclaiming pleasure and self-worth look like in your journey?
Hello, hello. Is this thing on? Okay, it's on. Dr. T, I appreciate that question, but you say I challenge assumptions, right? So let me challenge this assumption. Why y'all think black women who were diagnosed with HIV got to reclaim pleasure and self-worth? Like we lost it. Just because I contracted HIV does not mean I know what pleasure is. Yeah. It does not mean I know what self-worth means. I would say that because of stigma, I had to shift my perspective. Because during the course, I'll be 10 years diagnosed this September. So my inner critic became louder than my inner coach. And so, because I'm taking the stigma that's been outside, internalized, and a lot of times that stigma is more detrimental than the stigma that's outside of myself. Yeah. So I had to shift my perspective because, baby, I was that girl before I was diagnosed, and I'm still that girl. Ooh, okay?
Yes.
Right. So I would say it's not so much a reclaiming. I had to sit more into my coach and let my critic do what she was supposed to do. I had to feed the monsters. I appreciate her for doing what she did when I needed her. But in this space, I didn't need her. So thank you how you served me. But at this point, I need more of my coach than I need their critic. And that helped me change my perspective and let me know I didn't really have to reclaim. I just need to get back into it. I had to lean into it, let myself know that I was worthy, I was deserving. And with the love and the pleasure and the self-worth that I've given out to other people, I can demand that back to myself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's how we did that.
Yes, thank you. You dropped so many gems there. You were talking about, it wasn't not just reclaiming, it's like owning it, right? And owning it and really being about yourself and self-care and self-worth and really living fully. So again, the theme that we're hearing is that sometimes the inner critic and all of that, but really owning and owning your power. So thank you so much. I'm going to move over to Tamar. And I think, this is something you're very familiar with because your advocacy around black women and PrEP, which is pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV prevention, has been so important. You've been very vocal about PrEP and black women. And we know that only 9% of women, of PrEP users in this country are women, right? So we have a long way to go. Even though we know that PrEP reduces the risk of HIV by 99% or more if taken as prescribed, but there's still so many misconceptions and stigma and gaps in awareness around HIV, which you really speak openly about. So we thank you for being open, and we appreciate what you do as a black woman. Can you really, since sharing your story about being on PrEP and PrEP and the importance of PrEP, what have you heard from other women that has stayed with you?
Well, unfortunately, when I first started speaking openly about my journey on PrEP, I got a lot of criticism. Only because we were uneducated about how it was helpful for us meaning African American females. And the reason being is because we are the infectees. We make up over 50%. Now, when I first started talking about PrEP, it was 47%. Now we are over 51%. Of infectees of HIV. And so the good thing about me speaking about PrEP is that I believe the stat was 4% when I first started talking about it, and now we're at 6%. So we're making strides, small strides, but we're still gonna celebrate our wins, right? But at the end of the day, we have to really have open conversations about protecting ourselves and not just leaning on the understanding of our partners. Oh, we made a deal, so this is the deal. No, the deal is with me, okay? And so I'm gonna get on PrEP, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm protected no matter what you're doing behind my back. I know that I'm gonna sleep good at night because I've protected myself.
That is, thank you. Because so often, right, so often it's about, well, what are people going to think and what's someone doing? But you bring up a great point because this is about you. And when we talk to, with the audience and people talking about prioritizing themselves and how often have we needed to prioritize ourselves, that's so important, right? This is about you and protecting yourself. We've talked about pleasure and authenticity, and all of that ties in really nicely. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to move over to Dr. Carey. And, what we've heard, Tema talked about the information and the lack of awareness and gaps in awareness is that information matters, right? Representation matters, right? People need to see themselves. But none of us are meant to navigate these decisions alone, right? And Dr. Carey, you know that many Black women look to faith leaders, right? And community leaders and trusted spaces for guidance and support. So what role can these communities play in helping Black women to feel more supported and informed and empowered to prioritize their health?
Yeah, so first let me say that Black women are deserving of safe spaces to be. Let's start there. We deserve to go to spaces where we are seen and where we are protected. From my own experience, community does not come out of osmosis. It comes because we are intentional about building it with each other, right? And so we all have a responsibility in doing that. And before I lean into what faith spaces can do, what I really want to lean into is what Black women can do for other Black women. The minute we become safe for each other, we create a model for how the world should then treat us. And so a part of that is when we are safe for each other, we are protected by each other, we feel good with each other. Tamar and I knew each other before, and these two incredible women, I've seen them online, but my first time meeting them was today. And each of them was warm, they were kind, they were safe, which said to me, I can show up as my full self in this space. And so when Black women go out of their way to create these type of communities with each other, it may look different, it may sound different, but you create the community where you are so that you become a safe space for another Black woman. When we do that first, we then teach churches how to do it, we teach the government how to do it, we teach larger community how to do it, and then we model what that looks like for the world. So we are our first safe space first. After that comes everybody else.
That's why that Pastor loved each other. Thank you.
Well, that was excellent. And you talked about the importance of those safe spaces and just like really having those conversations in a way that is open. We talked about how difficult it is sometimes to have these conversations, especially when it comes to pleasure and choosing ourselves, and sometimes made to feel that being, prioritizing yourself is selfish. And what you're saying, all of you, is that we need to be able to have these conversations and have these open spaces. So I think we have time for one more question before we start to round up. That question is, what would it look like for a time where, maybe you've had to choose yourself first, and it kind of felt like maybe it was selfish, but it ended up being a good thing. What would it look like if we helped another woman, like you said, to prioritize herself? How could that look?
Well, everybody don't start talking at the same time. But I would say for me, it came at the time I was diagnosed. Because I didn't know what this diagnosis was going to look like. I didn't know what the drug regimen looked like. I didn't know what the illness would look like. At that moment, I had to lean into I call it being self-full. I don't believe it's a such thing as being selfish when it comes to you. I had to call back in the love, the time, the talent, the tent that I had sown into other people. I had to get it back. And because at that point, I'm my most vulnerable self transversing this new diagnosis. So I needed my community, and I did not have anything to give. So it looked like me standing on my boundaries, standing flat-footed down about myself and my business, and being firm about my no and what I could and could not accept. Because I was going to something I did not know anything about, but I knew I needed my community. Because so many times we say they didn't help me, but sister, did you tell them that you needed help?
Right.
Did you open your mouth and say, I don't know what support looks like, but I know I'm going to need y'all support. Y'all going to have to figure it out, but I need y'all to pull on up and pull on through. So that's the time, like 10 years ago, and I've done that so many times. I stand in that because I know who I am as a person, a woman, a daughter, a sister, a friend. So I know I'm a damn good person to other people. So it's nothing for me to call it back in. So that's something that I had to do, and I continue to, and I inspire or, tell women to do that for yourself. Because you ain't supposed to be strong.
No. Right.
You're a woman of strength, but you're not supposed to be strong.
That's right.
Take the cape off, sis, and let somebody help you.
Hello.
Right. Oh, gosh, you had, right? Thank you, audience. That was, You talked about your time, your talent, your treasures. You talked about your boundaries. You talked about all of these things, pouring into other people and actually asking for help as a sign of strength, not weakness. All of those things are important. And I love something you said. I don't know if you guys caught it. You said self-full, right? We always talk about selfish and all of that stuff. Self-full, right? It's the self-worth and really prioritizing ourselves, right? Really, really important. So I think as we round up in our rapid fire, we have an audience with us, and women have told us, right, that there are times where they needed somebody to say, hey, prioritize your health. Look out for yourself. So I would like each of you, very rapid, to tell me if there's one thing a woman could take away from this audience and start to do tomorrow or today. What would be one thing that you hope someone could take away after this conversation today? And I'll start with you, Amaya.
So I would hope that someone would walk away from today and choose themselves authentically, be confident enough to be themselves. I think a lot of times, sometimes we're ashamed to be free, and we're doing ourselves a disservice. So when you leave out of here today, choose you, be proud of you, and keep going.
Ladea?
Well, tell you why I say I had to go. Okay, because I was trying not to go. I would say put yourself back in the center of your universe. Okay. Wow. Let everybody orbit around you for a second.
Oh.
It's okay.
Yes.
I promise you,
that.
it's more than okay. Bless you. Come, take some, Tamar. Put yourself back at the center of your universe. You do and you do and you do, but you never ask or you don't give yourself the opportunity to receive. Ooh. Leave out of here learning how to put yourself back in the center. Baby, if you can't get to it, it really probably don't need to be done. But also, a way gonna be made when you put yourself back in your rightful place. God, then you, then everybody else gonna, have to orbit around. Right. Because if you're not good for you, you can't. If you out of place, you can't be good for nobody else.
Oh, that blessed me.
Yes.
First of all, I just want to say thank you guys because, I just want to speak for the people who don't always feel strong and don't always feel, like they have that self-worth and self-love, right? And sometimes we need to surround ourselves with women who have that so that can rub off on you, sometimes you walk in the room, sometimes being half full, not even all the way there, right? But once you be around strong women, you get that extra help and that extra love and extra confidence. And so I just want to speak to the people who feel like, I don't feel like it. I don't have it. Find you some women who do. And then once you start being around them, you'll start feeling more comfortable and more confident. And you'll walk into the purpose of your own life. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you. That was so good. Yes.
So I would just offer one of my favorite passages of scripture is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so that means that you have to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. And the minute you start loving yourself, your surroundings look different, your relationships look different, your environment looks different. And so that would be what I would want you to take away. Spend time loving yourself so that you are then able to show up in the world in a way where you can love other people as well. We always know when we don't love ourselves because it comes out in how you speak, it comes out in how you engage other people, it comes out in how you show up. But you know when a woman loves herself, not out of ego, but out of genuine understanding of who she is and what she was created to be, because she then shares that love with everybody else.
Oh, all right, absolutely. Thank you so much. So we heard, choose you, choose yourself. Put yourself in the center of the orbit and let people spin around you. We talked about being around other women and strong women, and if you need to borrow confidence, do it and share. And we talked about love yourself like you love your neighbors, because that's going to be. So thank you so much. And again, we've told, you are the star of your own story. You're not playing backup. You're not understudy. You are the star, and selfish is not. Self-care is necessary. It's not optional. So with that, our time is up. I'd like to thank our amazing panelists for their time. And, I just hope that everyone really takes those lessons and thinks about it, that self-care is not selfish. We need to prioritize ourselves. And what I would challenge us to do is take one step this week, right? We're heading back into the work week. Schedule a screening, right? Ask a question about your health. Start a conversation. And if you're already good on all that, you're the person who's done all that, ask your friend, your sister, your mom, your aunt, have them schedule a screening, start a conversation, and really start to prioritize our own health, because our health matters. So thank you so much for joining us. And with that, that's the end of our panel. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Sistas Say It Louder, reclaiming power, pleasure, and protection in Black women's health. Through partnerships and community collaboration, Gilead remains committed to supporting open, affirming conversations around prevention, care, and self-advocacy. Visit carefortheculture.com for stories, resources, and tools that can help you take the next step in your own health journey. Stand by for a special musical performance from Tamar Braxton.
Flying straight